The girls in the 1980s were smoking hot. Here's my list of the top 20 hottest female singers of the 1980s and what they looked like then and what they look like now.
Gator don't play no shit. You feel me?
Good evening and welcome to another edition of MSW Films, your one-stop shop for internet entertainment. Tonight we're going to be going over my list of the top 20 hottest 80s singers of what they looked like then and what they look like now. So let's just jump right into this. Starting off our list at number 20, we have Martika. Martika was gorgeous in the 1980s. She came out with Toy Soldiers and a couple other hits. She also starred in a couple like television shows and shit, but she was definitely a hottie in the 80s. And this is what Martika looks like now. Martika is 54, and she looks all right, you know, for 54. Whatever. Moving along. At number 19, we're going to go with Debbie Gibson. Man, Debbie Gibson was such a cutie in the 80s, man. She didn't dress provocative and stuff like a lot of the girls did, but she was still a really good-looking chick. Debbie Gibson is 53 today, and she looks fantastic for her age. She aged very well, so absolute kudos to you, Debbie, because you definitely are still very beautiful, and that's awesome, man. So wonderful job. At number 18, we're going to have to go with Aimee Mann. Aimee Mann is, you might know her from Till Tuesday. She was a sexy one to me in the 1980s. I had a crush on all the girls in this list in the 1980s. I wish to God girls would look and dress like this today. I don't know what the hell the problem is. I mean, fuck the ozone, man. Spray up that hair and let's get this shit going, you know, because the girls today all look the same, and it's dull, man. It's boring, just like movies and music these days. It's all just the same regurgitated shit. That's why if you lived in the 1980s like I did, I wasn't born in the 1980s, I was born in the 1970s, but lived in the 1980s, and man, that was the best decade that you could possibly be alive. I think anybody who lived in the 1980s will agree with me on that. But anyway, Aimee Mann she is 63 years old today, and man, she still looks pretty good. You know, for 63, she looks all right. So good job, Aimee. At number 17, we're going to go with Gloria Estefan. Gloria Estefan, another cutie from the 80s, man. All these girls were great performers and great singers, and they were definitely sexy as shit. But Gloria Estefan, definitely a cutie, has to be on my list. This is Gloria today. Now, Gloria Estefan is 66 years old. So, you know, age has hit her. Age hits everybody. But, you know, she's still all right, I guess, you know, so moving along. At number 16, we're going to go with Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was beautiful, man. She had a beautiful voice. She was a beautiful woman, and she had such a career and a life ahead of her. Until she met Bobby Brown. And then we all know what happened there. This is Whitney Houston today. And it just sucks, you know. I don't know what to say other than don't do drugs, people, you know. At number 15, we're going to go with Maria Fredriksson from Roxette. Roxette, what a killer band, man. I still love Roxette. They are a fantastic band. Her and her guitar player were a duo and write songs together. And normally when you have bands that do that, you're going to have great hits. I mean, a lot of bands only have one songwriter in them, whether you know that or not. And when you have people collaborating together, especially if they're couples or anything like that, or siblings and things like that, they write the best music ever, and that's why they always get so big. But Roxette was fantastic. Maria was beautiful in the 1980s. Unfortunately, Maria passed away. She had a disease and got really sick. I'm not even going to bother showing a picture of Maria. It sucks what happened to her, but she definitely has to be on my list because she was a definite hottie in the 1980s. At number 14, Paula Abdul. Paula Abdul was definitely sexy as shit. She was a good-looking 80s chick. Paula Abdul, still to today, looks really good. Paula is 61 years old, and I think she still looks really good for 61 years old. Yeah, I'd go out on a date with her. Paula was definitely a sex symbol in the 1980s, which is why she's on my list. At number 13, Cher. Cher's gorgeous, man. Cher was just provocative, and she kind of had that badass attitude, and I always liked that. Cher is definitely, she's definitely aged, but in the 80s, man, Cher was gorgeous. This is what she looks at. Mind you, Cher is 77 years old, so this is what she looks like now. But Jesus Christ, that's from so much plastic. That's so much plastic. These people put all this fucking plastic in their face. I don't get it. You know what's funny is the same people that put all this goddamn plastic in their face are the same people who tell us we need to recycle. Well, why don't we recycle these bitches? Because they got more plastic than any fucking bottle or anything like that. So that's kind of how I feel about that. But back in the 80s, Cher was sexy. So that's why she's on my list. At number 12, Ann Wilson from Heart. Ann Wilson, she had such a powerful, beautiful voice. And Heart is a great band. In fact, I'm actually going to see them. What is it? May 13th in Baltimore. They're back together, and Ann's actually going to be playing. She stepped out of the light for a long time after. She actually stepped out in the 80s because she had a weight problem and stuff like that. But she's still a beautiful woman, and I wanted to put her on my list because she's an incredibly talented woman, and she is beautiful. This is Ann now, and mind you, Ann is 73 years old. Not bad for 73 years old. And again, very beautiful in the 1980s, kick-ass singer, and that is why Ann Wilson is on my list. At number 11, Nancy Wilson. Should have seen this one coming. Nancy. Beautiful, man. She's a beautiful woman. She was definitely a sex symbol in the 1980s, in Heart. And again, that's why, Heart had so many hits. You had sisters, you had siblings writing songs together. One's a guitar player, one's a singer. They were incredible. They are still incredible. This is what Nancy looks like now, and she's 69 years old. Nancy still looks pretty damn good. For 69, I mean, it's pretty good, man. But in the 80s, man, Nancy was smoking hot. So that's why she's on my list. At number 10, Susanna Hoffs. I mean, from the Bangles, come on, dude. She was, she's so fucking hot. She is really, really beautiful. That has not really changed with her age. This is what Susanna looks like now. And mind you, Susanna is 65 years old. She is a beautiful woman. In fact, you know, they had a lot of problems in the Bangles because she was more beautiful than the other girls in the Bangles in the 1980s. And that had problems here and there with a lot of that. But Susanna is gorgeous. She was unbelievably gorgeous in the 1980s, but she is still a very beautiful woman. So very awesome job for you, Susanna, for keeping up with yourself and taking care of yourself. And that is why you are definitely on my list. At number 9, Samantha Fox. Man, come on. Samantha Fox was smoking in the 1980s. Every boy had her poster up on their wall. Samantha Fox was a sex symbol, man. She was incredibly hot. This is Samantha Fox now. Mind you, she's 57 years old. You know, not bad. I mean, but for 57, but, you know. But back in the 80s, man, Samantha Fox was definitely hot. So that is why Samantha Fox is on my list. At number 8, Kim Wilde. Man, Kim Wilde was gorgeous in the 1980s. No questions asked, man. She was definitely a hottie. I wish women would dress like this and look like this today. It's crazy, man. I guess it's because I grew up as you know, a young boy in the 1980s, and this is when I got into girls, and this is what they all look like. So I guess that doesn't go away. So to me, that 80s look is always going to be attractive. It just always is. Nonetheless, Kim Wilde is 63 years old now. This is what she looks like now. You know, she's all right. Not as good as some of the others, but not as bad as some of the others as well. So, not bad. Moving on. At number 7, Belinda Carlisle. Belinda Carlisle was, man, she was so hot in the 1980s. That's why she's on my list. Everybody liked Belinda Carlisle. And when she left the Go-Go's and did her solo career and stuff like that, I mean, man, she was it. Belinda Carlisle, held up all right. This is her now. Belinda Carlisle is 65 years old. Mind you, she did a lot of cocaine. But this is what she looks like now. So, But in the 80s, she was hot, and that's why she's on my list. Patti Smith. Good God. Patti Smith was sexy as shit. In Scandal and stuff like that in the 1980s. Oh my goodness, man. Again, why can't women dress like this? It just, all these things, just whatever. It's the 80s girls rocked, man. They're always going to be, to me, the hottest generation of girls. You know, they're hot. This is what she looks like now. And Patti Smith is 66 years old. Not bad, you know. And she's 66, man. But back in the 80s, she was smoking. At number 5, Debbie Harry. Blondie. Come on, man. Blondie was incredibly gorgeous. She was like breathtaking gorgeous. She just had that look, man. She had those like real little teeth with real pretty gums and blonde hair. And wow, she was just very, very sexy. Blondie is now, with Debbie Harry, is 77 years old. 77 years old. Good grief. So she's hanging on, you know. But hey, man, back in the 1980s, Blondie was fucking hot, man. I don't know how else to say it. She was hot. So that's why she's definitely on my list. And at number 4, we've got Lita Ford. Jesus Christ. Lita Ford was sexy as shit. God, she was gorgeous, man. Just another badass chick, another girl with that punk rock attitude. Man, Lita Ford was definitely a hot one. Lita Ford also, now she looks like this. Now, Lita Ford is only 65, which is old, but, oh, man, she looks rough. I guess all them cigarettes and drugs or whatever, I don't know. She did not hold on like way a lot of the other girls did at all. But when she was in the 80s, she was gorgeous, which is why she's got to be on my list and near the top of it. Moving on. These next 3 girls are, in my opinion, the badasses of the 80s. I feel like they were the most punk rock chicks. There's most of the stuff you heard from that on was inspired by these 3. They're incredible. I definitely still listen to them today. You know, who doesn't? But they are incredible. And at number 3, we're going to go with Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar was sexy as shit. She had a punk rock attitude. I mean, come on, man. She was the soundtrack for The Legend of Billie Jean. You remember that shit? Unbelievable. She was just so cute and so beautiful. And she married her guitar player. And there again with that collaboration, which is why Pat just wrote hit after hit after hit after hit. And she was just a cutie in the 1980s. This is Pat now, and Pat is 71 years old. So not looking all that great, but she is still out there rocking. She is still playing shows with her husband, and I gotta say that I have mad respect for that. Good for you, Pat. Keep doing what you do because you have made wonderful music, and you definitely made a lot of boys happy in the 1980s. So, number 2 is Joan Jett. Now, she is just punk rock to the motherfucking max. Joan Jett is, I've had a crush on Joan Jett since I was a little boy. She is such a tomboy, and I always found that hot. A girl that just, you know, does all the stuff the boys do and just as good. She is one sexy woman. Joan Jett is also, you know, with Lita Ford, they were in the Runaways. You know, so they were touring the fucking world at 15 years old, man. 15. They were touring the world. So they have seen it and done it. And man, Joan Jett was just an incredibly sex icon. It's such a sex icon to me. She was incredibly sexy. She's gotten a lot older. She's 65. She still looks pretty good, but she's also still out there kicking ass, playing concerts, and love you, Joan Jett. I think you're awesome, and keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. And at number 1, I'm sure you've already guessed, Madonna. Madonna was it. She was the hottest thing in the 1980s when it came to a female singer. Madonna was so gorgeous. Every girl wanted to be Madonna, and every guy wanted to be with Madonna. Madonna was the ultimate rule breaker. She's dressed extremely provocative, and she broke all the rules. She was incredibly sexy. I remember when I was in 5th grade, they had a Like a Virgin that came out. They wouldn't even play it at the dance. They wouldn't even play it on a lot of the radios. They bleep out Virgin because, you know, it just wasn't accepted then. Whereas today, you know, you can talk about your wet ass pussy all you want. But back then, you couldn't even say virgin. So, you know, that's why I think my generation is a lot better off than all these generations after. We had some morals, unlike, you know, these kids today. But in the 80s, man, Madonna was it. Hands down, end of story. This is Madonna now at 65. She looks like a fucking Muppet, man. What the fuck did you do to your face? You look ridiculous. So she can just go fuck off with all the rest of the Hollywood whores. I don't want anything to do with Madonna. She's in no way, shape, or form sexy anymore. However, this is about the 80s, and in the 1980s, Madonna was it. Well, this concludes my list of the top 20 hottest female singers of the 1980s. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this list. Who is your favorite female singer in the 1980s? And is there any you feel should have been on this list? And as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to ring that bell to get new notifications for all our new videos.
Who rang that bell?
Hopefully you did. Have a wonderful night!